This is a video to show how I've modified the WLtoys V666 quadcopter transmitter. It's also the transmitter used for the V262 as well. I was getting really poor range out of the quad, and I wasn't happy with it. I couldn't understand it because it's got quite a big coax antenna on the quad itself, so it didn't make sense to me. So when I took this apart, I discovered that it had a really tiny coax connector in it, and it didn't go up the antenna. It was actually a fake antenna. So I've taken it apart and modified it. I've added an SMA connector so that you can add any antenna that you want. This is just an antenna that I had spare off a VTX that was faulty actually, but my initial tests show that it has worked. I haven't been able to do a long range test with it yet because the weather's terrible, but it's definitely getting signal down it. So I'm gonna take the back off and show you how I did that. Now I've taken all the screws out of this transmitter. There's quite a lot of them actually. You might even say it's overkill, but you need to be careful when doing this for the first time. These buttons here are just held in by the transmitter being together. Same for the antenna up here, the fake antenna. This will fall out when you take it apart. Also the sort of circuit boards that are connected to these switches are loose as well, so just be careful when you lift that off. So I'm going to try and do this now, albeit one-handed. Okay, be careful because the battery connector is soldered in directly. I got it open, so these are falling out straight away. One of the buttons has stayed actually, but yeah, you can see the two buttons there, and very cheap looking circuit board actually. And there's the wires going direct to the battery. Have to be careful they don't pull too tight actually, else they can become desoldered. Okay, so let's just zoom in here on the antenna mod that I've done. So I've had to cut off a bit of the top there. I haven't done it very neatly either. This was unnecessary, but I had to chop off the top here just so that there's enough room for the SMA connector to protrude out the front there. Now this is an SMA connector that I bought that was already soldered at the top part, and the bottom part was free for me to solder whatever I want. Okay, so this bit here, you've got the center wire here, which is transmitting the signal, and then here you've got the ground, which there is a solder pad there as well to solder the ground to, and then this just sits in there in its little case, and that's it really. It's as simple as that. I'm going to do some range testing soon with it, but it was quite a simple job to do actually, and hopefully it'll give me a bit more range with this transmitter because it is really toy grade range. You know, you don't want to let it out of your sights, and the problem with the quad is, well, what I found is when it does go out of range you lose control, but it keeps on flying, which I think, I don't know if that's a safety feature because of the size of the quad, and some of the mini quads, when they go out of range they just drop, which is fine, but I guess if a big quad just drops, it could drop onto somebody, you know, do some damage, definitely damage the quad. So maybe that's why it's a feature of that. But yeah, definitely don't try and go out of range with that. It's going to be difficult to range test this actually. What I find when I was flying it in standard with the standard antenna is I was having to sort of fly it away from me, but towards some trees, so that if it did go out of range, the trees could maybe catch it or something. I didn't just want it to fly off into the abyss, so we need to be very careful of that. But yeah, that's how I have modified mine. I hope it's helpful to some of you.